Hello there, it's the 4th of January today, and as all good John McLAUGHLin fans will know, that's John McLAUGHLin's birthday. So I would like to wish John McLAUGHLin, from me, and behalf of all the subscribers to this channel who are big John McLAUGHLin fans, we would like to wish you a happy 80th birthday. I can't quite believe it, that my guitar hero has actually got to the grand old age of 80 years old. And what a career he has had. A career that has influenced me greatly. I don't think I would be here as a musician, and definitely this channel would not be here if it wasn't for the work of John McLAUGHLin. This is a testament to a great artist. And an artist that I think hasn't got the accolades he should have. I really believe that John McLAUGHLin is definitely the greatest British jazz musician that's ever lived. He is possibly in the top 3 greatest jazz guitarists of all time. He is one of the originators of jazz rock fusion. And I would say probably the most influential of the early innovators of jazz rock fusion. I'm trying to think of someone equal. Possibly Miles Davis would be equal. I can't think of anybody else with McLAUGHLin's stature that is so integral to the creation of the sound of that genre. As a technical guitarist, he is the first speed picker, and his influence on heavy metal has been huge, absolutely huge. I think in the 70s, once heavy metal emerged, it was John McLAUGHLin's fast playing in the Mavish Orchestra and the darkness and heaviness of that band that was one of the influences that pushed heavy metal to become darker and heavier. And I think there would definitely be no Yngwie Malmsteens, without John McLAUGHLin. Now, I would love to tell you a story about when I met John McLAUGHLin, and I've met a lot of my heroes over the years, but John's not someone I have met. I've seen him live 4 times. The first time I saw him was in London at the Royal Festival Hall. And I was very lucky in that gig actually became an album live at Royal Festival Hall. When I became a big John McLAUGHLin fan in the 80s, what he was doing was not much. He was pretty quiet back then. He was touring with a duo with Jonas Hellborg, and I tried my hardest to get tickets for that. And in doing that, I saw that he had a new trio, and he was playing in London in 1988. And I managed to contact a friend of mine, a guy called Simon Trewin, and I went down and stopped with him, and we went to see this gig at the Royal Festival Hall. It was an incredible gig. He had a new trio, and I felt that he was revitalised. I thought in the 80s John McLAUGHLin had gone into a little bit of a lull after the 80s Mavish Orchestra. But with the trio with Trilot, Goethe and Kayetgar, I really thought for the first time in a while he was onto something really interesting and innovative. A lot of that came from Trilot Goethe's incredible approach to the drums, which was so all-encompassing of Indian classical music that I felt it was a really interesting further fusion of jazz rock and Indian music, something that John's since done more and more. I think his integration with Indian music has become more advanced in recent years. That was an incredible gig. I was really impressed by that. So a few years later, in 1991, I went back to see him again with still with the trio, but now with Dominic Di Piazza on bass. Dominic Di Piazza, a really interesting bass player who sort of brought a sort of flamenco finger style and sort of almost like a Django Reinhardt approach to the electric bass. Dominic Di Piazza was one of the first bass players that I saw live that was really pushing the bass further out. I think the thing with the bass is with after Jaco Pastorius, we then have like Jeff Berlin, we then have Jonas Hellborg, and then we have John Patitucci, and through the 80s, what was capable on the bass expanded greatly. So by the end of the 80s, you had some really incredible bass players out there playing the bass, at speeds and with technical approaches that we hadn't seen before. I think specifically of someone like Victor Wooten, who really pushed the vocabulary of the bass. But there was guys like Stuart Ham, and who else would there be? Billy Sheehan in rock music. But Dominic DiPiazza was one of the first bass players I saw live playing a 6-string bass and really pushing the bass out, and he was really interesting. That gig, the second gig I saw, was pretty intense. But we were really hoping that John would pick up the electric guitar again, and he did that a couple of years later with the organ trio with Dennis Chambers and Joey DeFrancesco, and later on he had the great legendary Elvin Jones on drums. But I saw that trio as well with Dennis Chambers. A friend of mine was promoting that gig. They were working for a local promoter. When I went to see that gig, I had parked in a car park, and my ticket ran out, and I was worried actually that my ticket had run out. So just before the gig ended, I jumped in my car and went home. The next day the promoter spoke to me, and this is before sort of mobile phones, and said that John McLaughlin and Dennis Chambers had needed a lift to the airport and they were stuck. And she said, there's one guy here that will definitely take you to the airport. And she was walking around with Dennis and John, shouting my name, trying to find me, so I could then give him a lift, but of course I'd gone home. So that was the big chance I missed. What a drive that would have been, with not one but two of my heroes. The last time I saw John McLaughlin was on the Shakti tour with Hari Prasad Chaurasia, which I saw at Birmingham Town Hall. I believe that one of the recordings off that ended up on one of the later Shakti albums. I haven't talked so much about the later Shakti albums. I'm thinking of doing a video on Shakti and looking at the classic 70s albums, and then looking at the later albums as well. But those are my four times I was actually sat in the same room with my hero, but I've never got to chat to him. Wouldn't it be a lovely thought that he's watching this video? But if you are, John, and recently I got told off for not looking to camera. When my video camera, I look at myself talking to make sure I don't look like an idiot, but I'm talking to the camera now. So happy birthday, John. Thank you for all the music. Keep going. I'm sure there's many, many years more left of some incredible music, so we're looking forward to that. Let's look forward to the future. Let's get out of these fantastic awful times and get to some fantastic times. So thank you, John, and thank you all for watching my channel, and we look forward to meeting up again in the future. So thank you very much.